Hello everybody, I'm Danny or Maccam, and welcome to this video on the Portland Trailblazers. I was requested to do this video quite a while back actually. I can't remember on which Jusuf Nurkic video I was requested to do it on. I've had a good basic idea for quite a while on what I feel like Neil Olshey will do this coming off season and what his plans are. Now, as plenty of people probably have known by now, is that the Blazers have 3 first-round picks in this coming draft, and so far the current mock draft from the 9th of April from ESPN is predicted to have us have the 16th pick, which is Portland's, the 20th pick, which is Memphis's, and then the 26th pick, which is the Cavaliers' pick. Of course, these picks aren't entirely set in stone in their placements, but it's a good general idea of where our picks will be placed. Now, I feel like, and I'm pretty dang confident, that Neil Olshey's main idea with these picks is to use them as bait, entice them into making a trade that includes either Myers Leonard and or Allen Crabbe because of their massive contracts and their lack of consistent production on both ends of the floor for potentially starters, quality starters, if not good quality role players for the roster. It just makes sense, and Neil Olshey, this is the kind of trade that he's most noted for, and he's specifically most noted for not because it's frequent, even though it is, but because of the fact that he has one hell of a forte for making these kind of trades and pulling them off with ease, even if they may seem completely unlikely. And with the players in this draft, it makes sense that you would try and bait other teams with the picks first, entice them into being interested, and then work his magic to trade away one of these giant contracts of either Myers Leonard or Allen Crabbe. And Allen Crabbe's makes sense, just the immense size it is. It's way oversized for any kind of a role player. Of course, then Evan Turns is as well. But looking at the contract size from Myers, it also makes sense to trade him away. Plus, his production is much worse, and he's famously one of the most inconsistent players in the entire league. He is the most aggravating player, I swear to God, in the league. He actually pisses me off, and I just been wanting him gone now for the last, 3 seasons, especially the last couple of seasons. He's driven me up a wall. He needs to be gone, and I know, because of the signature way that the front office has been talking, just in general, and Terry Stotts has been talking about him and stuff, and even a lot of analysts here have been talking about him. It just makes sense that Neil Olshey will look at it and say, yeah, that is the value that Myers has. He's a 7'1" big that can nail threes and can run like a deer. Who wouldn't want that in today's NBA? And he's still young and still has potential. Therefore, with the right fit, you should be able to, he has a lot of value. And so I could easily see Neil Olshey using that as another line of reasoning and temptation to tempt a team into taking a trade that includes him and one or maybe a couple of those first-round picks for some quality starters, a quality starter or two, or maybe even just a bunch of quality bench players for a budget price, which is a huge thing that we need. But I think that's the main exact goal that he has, and that I think the Blazers are going to take, especially during the draft. It's going to be looking to entice teams and engage them with the picks, and then say, okay, but you have to take either Allen Crabbe or Myers Leonard, and give us what we want out of this. And as people are coming to find, is that Neil Olshey is pretty dang good at these kind of things. It's the things that you say, no way. That's what he's best at. He's best at figuring out ways to do that and then succeeding. I mean, heck, I believe it was the trade of Gerald Wallace that he conducted to Brooklyn that gave us the pick that enabled us to get Damian Lillard. So literally all he did was he traded Gerald Wallace for pick and cash considerations, and look at what it turned into. It turned into Lillian Lillard. By the way, I get my nickname Lillian Lillard because of Mike Rice making a flub and Damian's first official regular season NBA game. That was hilarious. Called him Lillian Lillard, and I've never let him live that down. So that's where you get that from. But anyway, so from here, I want to mention the fact that I think that the potential possible players we could see being thrown into trade talks and trade negotiations as well is Evan Turner, because of his massive 4-year contract, which is 70 million. Although Alan Krabs is 75 over 4 years, so it does make a little more sense to trade him. Plus, Evan gives you an all-around game, and he's a vet, which is huge. But I mean, still, role player for 70 million. I don't think that's ever going to be worth paying a role player 70 million, even if he's a sixth man. That's lethally. That's a starter's contract. You shouldn't be paying that much. To be fair, but anyway. So yeah, Evan Turner is definitely a potential one, and then another possibility I could see, obviously, is Festus Ezeli. Festus Ezeli being slotted into a trade makes perfect sense, just because he hasn't been able to play. Played yet. He's very injury prone. And to be fair, I love Festus Ezeli's game and the heart he plays with, but and I was super hyped when we first saw that Festus Ezeli showed up at the airport. Nobody had any other information other than people saw him at the airport and started tweeting about it. And so everybody's like, this is probably, since it's free agent signing period, it probably means he's here to negotiate. But it was late, so we figured it was probably a good chance that he would sign here, and lo and behold, I think it was the next day actually, they announced that he signed, which is super awesome. But I was just like beyond hyped. I'm like, this is exactly the kind of center we needed. Defensive first, hustling center who bully balls around the paint and as a rim protector, and then he had to have his knee surgery, and then another knee surgery, and another knee surgery, and he's going to be perpetually out pretty much for eternity, it seems like. So that was bad. He was being paid, I believe it's can't remember, I think it was like a 4-year, 14 million or something, 14-15 million dollar contract. So we'll have another, I believe, $7.5 million guaranteed to him this coming season. So I could see him being thrown in as a bit of a trade contract pawn-off trade situation, along with Evan Turner as the possibilities for trades. But I can't really see anybody else. I think that those four are definitely going to be the trade pieces, and then obviously the main pieces and the enticement, that's going to be the luring, and then the teams to agree to the trades is going to be Neil Olshey throwing around the pick, or the picks that they would be obtaining for what we get. So look for them, look for Neil Olshey. You're looking to get at least one more quality starter, if not a couple more, via trade. But I think the trade, personally, I believe the trade, what Neil Olshey is going to do is he's going to look to get a couple, maybe 3 quality budget role players that can bolster our bench. And then when it comes down to free agency, I think that's where he's going to really do his damage, and he's going to try and take whatever trades he made and what we have now and what we were able to accomplish this season, especially Jusuf and Jusuf's potential of what he was doing and the fire and passion he had, and like say, look, you know, we have pretty much the perfect setup here. All we need is a good, maybe one more star or another good quality starter like you. So, you know, let's build something beautiful here, and let's take the NBA by storm and by shock, and take everybody by surprise. I think that that's going to be kind of the thing he's going to be doing in free agency. He's looking for at least one more quality starter, and then of course look to get a nice budgetable bench bolstering set of players to solidify the roster. And of course, if he can't entice any good free agents or get a trade to get a good quality starter, I think what he's going to do is he's going to kind of do what he's been doing the last few seasons, which is he's going to sign bolster the bench, and then he's going to look to sign a younger player that has potential, but probably for a little bit bigger contract, to a moderately bigger contract than they should be signed for, and then utilize that as a trade piece in tandem with another trade in the future that he would do afterward once the regular season commences. I could 100% see that happen, because it's very Neil Olshey-like, and he tends to pull off those trades with ease. So I think that's the trades we should be looking for, is in the free agency period we should be looking for that. I definitely do not see any reason to tank especially with Neil Olshey being Neil Olshey and the trades he pulled. As soon as he pulled the Jusuf Nurkic trade and we got that third first round pick, I'm like, okay, I see what he's doing. I see what he's doing. This is traditional Neil Olshey. This is a perfect situation for him to pull off the typical things he loves to do, and this is perfect. You know, he's impeccable at pulling these things off. So it's perfectly set up. There's no way he can't be trying this. I'd be shocked if it turns out he's going to alter it and do something differently. Maybe more traditionalist. That would actually kind of pain me. But yeah, so we'll see. Obviously, nothing's set in stone. This is just my outlook on it, and things are set up perfectly. Like everything's set in place for him to do this and for this to happen. And you know, I think there's a potential that he may just look to trade away the two first round picks from us and from Memphis to a team with Myers Leonard and or Allen Crabbe, and then keep the latter first round pick and then take somebody with that as well to potentially just get a really guaranteed budget player that could develop into something special, maybe not, but at least could develop into a good role player for the team. I think that's one of the things that you should look for too, is potentially just doing that. That would also be fairly Neil Olshey-like. He never usually trades away all of the picks unless it's the first rounders, but I think this draft, the way it's set up, and then the way, you know, the picks we have with Memphis and our pick, I think that definitely this is a good situation where he keeps. It's more likely that he keeps that Cleveland pick that's going to be late first rounder, and just keep that, and then trade away the other two, and obtain some quality, either a quality starter or two, or some quality role players via trade. And then free agency, finish trying to bolster, if he can do it. Which hopefully he can prove that Chris Paul wasn't his only moderate to big name free agent he was able to entice to a team. But we have a good setup for big free agents to come if he can figure out what he did there to entice him. Just Chris Paul did the Clippers. Sorry, the Slippers. The plan of attack in terms of bolstering the role players, you know, the bench for the Blazers, and just the starting lineup. I could totally see where the Blazers, this is not only something we need, but I think that Neil Olshey, I'm sure Neil Olshey and Terry Stotts and the rest of the team has gotten the point that you need a good combination of different play styles and players on your roster, both on the role-playing side, so the bench, and on the starting end. Because once we got Jusuf Nurkic, and when we had LaMarcus Aldridge, it made perfect sense, you know. When the perimeter players, CJ and Dame, are getting doubled, are getting really well defended, if they need to kick out to somebody, usually there's going to be, especially if they're doubled, there's going to be somebody in the post they can, you know, back to the basket they can pass to, that can work in the post, and then they demand attention. So if the double team is called to then go to them, then they can just pass right back for an easy spot up three. I mean, there's so much good in that, having that bind of play styles, obviously. And I'm sure that they've learned that by now. It just makes perfect sense. So, I think that we should be looking for him, Neil Olshey, and Terry Stotts and the rest of the front office to be filling in the holes where we need it most, which defense has been the biggest problem we've had the entire time. Not just the lack of defensive players and ability, but the ones that we do have tend to have consistency issues. Not as bad as somebody like Nikola Batum, but they have consistency issues where they can't stay consistently defensive. Some games, for streaks of games, they're horrible. Other games, they're amazing. And they're seldomly moderately okay defensive games in between. They're just like here or there. Like bipolar defensive ability or something. They flip-flop. And we need consistency. And I think that's the main thing, is on both ends we need to bolster our consistency on offense and especially defense, and we just need more defensive players, or at least defensively capable players. I think secondarily, behind the consistency, obviously, like I said, is defense. I think those are the main two things they're going to look to bolster this season. And then I think thirdly, they're going to probably look to get at least one or two more veteran presence players so they can be mentors and they can be those locker room guys and those motivators and energizer bunnies kind of players to keep the team motivated, energized, and fired up, and also be able to teach them a thing or two. And again, be that locker room presence that I would say we've probably been lacking quite a bit of. Like, it's the veteran presence we need, and I think that will be probably third priority, because whenever we got a veteran, it really helped, especially when we have this young nucleus. Every time they do that, it helps a lot more than it seems, especially a lot more than it shows up on a stat sheet. It really is a good thing to have those vets, and I think that that's one thing they'll probably look into, is getting some, not fossilized vets, but they'll look into getting some budgetable vets that are willing to come on board to be that guy. And then obviously fourth, I think, is going to be, lastly, but I think is going to be that offense. They want that consistent offense, and they want to be able to have that good combo. So they need somebody who can, you know, be another post player off the bench and be another shooter off the bench that are consistent. I think those are the main things that you need to look for them to do. Rebounding is another thing, intangibles, but I don't know necessarily if that's really going to be a focus for them, because, I mean, we're okay in that department. We're not great, but we're okay. But we really need that defense. We really need the consistency. That's where I think they're going to mainly focus, along with probably some presence in the locker room, and especially if it's a veteran presence, I think this is what they're going to look to do. So those are the kind of players I think they're going to look to get via trade, but especially via free agency. So I think that the Blazers will definitely, obviously, improve a hell of a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. But with the current core we have now, say we keep everybody but Myers Leonard, and we add a new player, I think that will improve probably a good 10 to 12 games next season. And that's just with the current core. If we get a quality, consistent starter and bolster that bench a little bit more, then we could be looking at a 50 or more win season next season with ease. I think that's what we have a good opportunity, very, very good opportunity to look to. And that is also barring that people stay healthy enough throughout the season and postseason. But knowing the Blazers' reputation over the last, decade, it doesn't matter who in the heck is our trainer. For some reason, we have injuries galore. And especially to big men, and we can't keep them healthy. There's other places that typically can keep their injury-prone big men pretty dang healthy. But Portland's definitely not one of them. I don't know why. We're just one of those cursed cities when it comes down to big men, like Philly. It's ridiculous. So, hopefully, the trainer and the team will be able to figure out what the heck to do to be able to at least make injuries less frequent to everybody next season. So that's how I think the Blazers will end up looking next season. Specifically, what my predictions are this offseason for the Blazers coming up, as I think we will definitely improve a hell of a lot compared to what we were this season. I think it will probably surprise, actually, a good handful of people, the amount we improve. This is just the trades I can see that are definitely going to happen. And then, of course, again, Myers Leonard, and Allen Crabbe are the two players that definitely Neil Olshey is going to be looking to trade. Without further ado, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys did get the gist out of it, and I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did enjoy it, please do definitely leave the like, because that is extremely helpful. Lets me know you enjoyed it. And definitely, I encourage you guys to let me know what you think about what the Blazers are going to do down below, and how you think we'll improve this coming season, and what you think the goals of Neil Olshey and the front office of the Blazers are this season, and what you thought of my analysis. I'm looking to get better and better as I make each of these videos. It's a little bit hard because of how my brain works. It's kind of difficult, and then also I have attention deficit, so it's really hard to not have a billion thoughts at once trying to come out all at the same time. So bear with me, it's a learning process, because this is all new to me, this kind of content, but it seems that everybody's been enjoying it thoroughly, and so I'm very, very thrilled with that, because I really wasn't expecting this kind of support already, but it just, as soon as I put the channel up, it's like, boom, I'm like, oh my god. So, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it so much. I especially appreciate any and all kinds of interaction. Obviously, please feel free to let me know your honest, true feedback, because that is the most valuable thing to me of all. And without further ado, that's it. So, stay safe. I hope you have a great day or night, wherever you guys are, and goodbye, everybody.